Alright, this is not for clicks. This is not for some click baiting. This is just to convey a message as a quick and easy, clear construct for people who want to ask a lot of arbitrary questions but not listen to answers. The During the Clinton Trump election, a lot of people wanted to go on witch hunts to find those elusive emails that Trump claimed to know about, but never actually proved. Saying that we needed somebody who wasn't above the law and didn't see themselves as above the law. Now we have Trump who is blatantly saying, I am above the law, stop trying to hold me to the law. And a bunch of Trump supporters that are saying, protect Trump from the law. You do not understand this is what you are saying, but it is what you are saying. Why is this that it is what you are saying? It's very simple. You guys say, let's not focus on Trump's collusion with Russia, that's a hoax, let's focus on those emails. However, the collusion is very self-evident by the fact that Russia paid Facebook, the bots, the slander, and the fact that the Russians themselves acted against Hillary. And then we have the credibility issue where people say Trump can do no wrong, he's the holy messiah. And I say this because it's absolutely insane, but it is the way you guys think. Every time we try to say something like, why do you think this place is fake news, you guys bring up one mistake and then hold on to it like a drowning person from the Titanic asking for air. You're on a sinking ship, and I say sinking ship because you guys used to always say, I don't want to vote for Hillary and be on her sinking ship. But even though Hillary was never on a sinking ship because the United States hadn't been in a bad situation, as bad as you guys are currently in now, but still refuse to acknowledge. So instead, you guys are like, hey, just report the gold things, don't look at all his mistakes, and then you try to overwrite all of his mistakes, try to forget about his mistakes by saying like he's just learning, he's not a politician. What you don't understand is that when you are saying this, you are agreeing with the liberal saying that he should not be in office, he is unfit, because to put, he is much like the mechanic that fails to fix your car because he's not an actual mechanic. You are basically agreeing with us that he is unfit. But then you're like, but she and Obama ruined healthcare, but now 4 million people are losing their health care. You guys say no, it's because of Obamacare. No, those people got covered because of Obamacare. Their people are losing it because of Trump trying to sabotage Obamacare. Some of you guys say it's just Obamacare imploding on its own, but then again, if that was so, then why would Trump need to sabotage it if that was the case? Why would he need to alter it and sign these executive orders? He keeps saying that the Democrats own this, but he refuses to own his own mistakes. Instead, he says, I have this tremendous plan, but then he goes and complains about how the Congress and stuff can't get their plan because he doesn't have a plan. He keeps saying that other people have to do his job, which is basically to say every one of their job is not to serve each other. Their job is not to serve the Democratic Party. Their job is not to serve the Republican Party. Their job is not to serve the president. Their job is to fight amongst each other and to come to a consensus based on what is best, what works best, what is, doing things. Basically, what their job is to do is to write a program and then pen test it, and then patch the flaws in it, and then test it, and then deploy it. That is their job. If a program becomes wasteful. But then you guys are like, but then, he just wants to drain the swamp. But then you fail to acknowledge, after all this time, even in your own lives, you don't understand that you can be lied to. And to understand a liar is to basically understand where the context of it is, where the substance of it is, what is his understanding of things are. If I were to go up to an Eve Corp as a newbie and tell them that they are doing things wrong when they are being successful legitly, then I would be the idiot because, there are they are being successful. The results prove that point out. Instead, we have a guy that says, look around, but then he says, if you do look around, the statistics are all liberal propaganda, even though there's a shit ton of evidence. I say this because you guys still think that immigrants cause more violence, more crime than white people do, even though there are statistics in the FBI forms that say otherwise, and clearly. But then, when talking to you guys are like, no, it just says black on black crime. We're not talking about white on white crime. We're talking about just the black violence on on other black people. You nitpick things because you're tripping over yourselves and you don't understand that. You refuse to acknowledge that. Some of the other people, they think that just because like I'm a Hispanic, so I can't possibly be racist against Hispanics. We have to remember Hitler was a Jew and he hated Jewish. Clark is a black guy and he hates blacks. Just because you are a certain way doesn't mean that you are incapable of being an unknowingly self-hating person of your own ethnicity. There's also people who are Christian that hate other Christians. They hate other Christians because they don't worship the way they want them to. And then there are Jewish people who feel the same. There are more Normans that feel the same. I say this because you guys think that just because there's a couple of Muslim groups out there that hate other Muslims and are radicalized, just like the KKK is radicalized, and the neo-Nazis are radicalized, and the other groups are radicalized. Just because there's recently a gay Jewish neo-Nazi that came out, that he's not somehow radicalized. I mean, these people still can be the way they will, but that doesn't necessarily mean they won't crucify the people who are just like them, just because they are led to believe that they are an enemy in a different aspect, or they are some kind of a heretic in a sense that they don't like. And which brings us to the rump in the road. What is the ultimate way of seeing things? What is true? What is pure? And I say this because when going to church, I have two different churches I go to. One my mom goes to, the other one I go to. We oftenly go to the one that my mom goes to because parents, And so the one my mom goes to, horrible pastor, doesn't stay on message at all. His points are difficult to keep up with, if there is a point at all. And frankly, I think he's nothing more than a salesman. I say this because there are such things as people who are salesmen. We have the Holy Crusades, for instance. People who absolved other people of their sins just to justify and convince people to be alright to murder in the name of God. There are those things that happen. And the same thing with the Quran and any other group. So people say like there are no pagan holy wars. Yes, there are pagan holy wars. There is such a thing as fighting for the king, fighting for patriotism, fighting for being a nationalist. Those kind of things are what you would call being a pagan warrior. So you need to understand that there is a need to draw blood to fight, which brings me to my ultimate point. The point people are trying to get to, and you guys need to understand. Left and the right, who is more violent? We have the right that says the left is violent because a few people are pissed enough to do violent things, while the left is condemning those people's actions, trying to tell them not to be violent. But instead of reporting that, the right simply says, look at this is left people being violent, but those people are violent because they are defending themselves, they feel frightened. For instance, there was a bunch of people pulled a guy out of his car. That has been a meme, a thing that's been spread around like a virus amongst the conservative groups. They say this is evidence of the left being more violent than we are, so we need more guns. And what this was a bunch of people who were very hateful of Trump, because Trump is a very hateful man. He is a hateful man because he was telling people to be violent during his rallies. People wanted to show those people, you want to be violent, you're going to get violence. We're not going to allow you to walk over us. And that is why people were violent. But does that help the situation? No, it does not. That is why the left condemns it. What does the right do? They say we are being oppressed, that we are being oppressed, we are being infringed upon, we need to be more violent. The NRA says we need more guns. Trump says we need more military and more cops on the roads, we need to take away the rights of the people to speak against us. Free speech is a very important facet of American life, and yet it is under attack. And people have the right to protest, and yet that is still under attack. Who? The right. The right want to protest and by violence. And I say this because when listening to these reports, I hear all right groups like the NRA and the Three Percenters calling for conflicts and violence with guns, and even taking a lot of pride in how many guns that they have, even showing them off. There was a neo-Nazi who was crying on a camera, who was arrested. He didn't understand why there was multiple warrants out for him. Apparently, he had committed multiple felonies and arsons and attacks that were with weapons, and he didn't understand why he was being attacked. There was another instance where a neo-Nazi attacked a Muslim lady, beating her half to death on a freeway train, or a freight train, or monorail, thank you, damn it, on the train, okay? And he thought that he was fighting for his country. He was arrested, and he thought, when in the court, he was yelling about how he was fighting to protect freedom of speech. There was another group of individuals that were his friends that later went into that same train station or monorail. It was underground, okay? And because of the violence that they had expected, security was up, and those men were arrested before they could do anything. But before they were arrested, they confiscated several homemade weapons because his friends wanted to kill a lot of people. So who is it that is more violent, the left or the right? Because I see the right, like the Bundys, occupying territory without getting consequence for it, and invoking their right to go against the government by militia means, because they did not agree that their friend should be in jail for a crime he committed, and because they believed he was a patriot fighting for his country. There was another group of individuals that attempted to bomb several buildings, and a couple of corrections officers that attempted to make bombs as well. And they all did it in the name of defending their country. They wanted to bomb places as a means of attacking the threat of the Muslims. Why? Because Trump told them that the Muslims celebrated 9/11. And then we have people who are also on the conservative side saying that the Muslims are incapable of adapting to the Western way of doing things. In fact, they've been a part of our culture for over 100 years peacefully without any type of incident besides 9/11. Of course, though, that wasn't exactly a place of people who were in here legally. They came here with false identities and visas acquired from different countries. All countries in which were not on the travel ban and still are not on the travel ban. And yet we have people trying to demonize and justify attacking Muslims. What does this do? It motivates people to attack United States. Therefore, you guys are provoking your own war. You are trying to create your own self-fulfilling prophecies. We on the left are trying to say, do not do these things. Let the government, let the police do their job. While on the other hand, people are afraid. They have a right to be afraid. They should be afraid, because the right is trying to tell people that we have guns and we will silence you if you try to talk against Trump. In the meantime, what does this say? It says Trump is a dictator and he has a militia and a military that goes against our own government, which means you are not patriots, and Trump is not a leader of the United States. He is a militiaman trying to take over the United States and replace it with the dictatorial Saudi law. I say Saudi law because while talking to several Trump supporters from the military, they say people should not be given quarter. People should not be in prison. They should be lined up and killed. And that is what Saudi law is. You commit a crime, you die. And he did not understand that at the time. You guys want slaves. I know this because while talking to Trump supporters, they talked about how good the economy of the Confederates was because they had a bunch of people working as slaves instead, and they think that it would be better for our economy if the rich got richer by not paying his people. People work for a living, which means if you don't pay them, then the only way you can keep them is by making them slaves. Ergo, you guys support slavery. You do not want to admit this fact. You do not understand such simple things like protecting and fighting for your country's core beliefs by protesting racial injustice. People bled for equality. People died for economy or equality. People have fought for the entirety of the United States' existence to be equal under the law because of people like you. And yet you wonder and think that certain laws give other people special privileges, and you don't understand that these special privileges are nothing more than equal rights, because you think these people should not have equal rights. I say this because every time that when I talk about immigrants, you guys say that these people are criminals and they are breaking the law by bringing crime into this nation just by walking across the border. And you guys do not understand that these people are human beings trying to get into a place that they perceive as safer. You do not perceive them as human beings who are equal under God. You perceive them as criminals that do not deserve the right to even be given a chance. And then when trying to iterate this point to you guys, you say that no, we believe they should come here legally, but yet every time somebody has a means of coming here legally, you think it's too easy and people get special privileges. Therefore, you do not believe people should be able to come here legally. You do not believe people should be able to work to be a citizen. And you do not believe people should be able to contribute to this country because you do not understand that this nation is not yours. This nation is America, and it is not your backyard, it is not your bank, it is not your business, it is not your hospital, it is not your police force. It does not serve your needs, it serves everybody's, and it serves to keep the death toll down and the country alive, and the peace intact. But you guys do not believe in that, because a lot of you people seem okay with anything that Trump does. You think he's above the law, and then you want to hold other people in this pointless witch hunt for emails, while other people like Trump's go to Yemen and get our people killed in pointless conflicts that you think are justified. So eager to get your heart on that when Trump fails to destroy a airfield, you guys still think it means something. And then it drops a Mao, but then you forget that Obama dropped more bombs, and you practically wet yourselves believing that this Trump is stronger than Obama because he dropped one bomb, and even though Obama dropped plenty more. But you don't care about the countless lives being killed because Trump is getting rid of the rules of engagement, or the countless lives being killed by Trump care, or the countless people being killed by these deregulation processes, or the countless abuses. You don't care about black people being demonized. You think that certain people should only protest in certain ways. You don't believe in the freedom of speech because every time people try to express their freedom of speech, you say they're not doing it right because you don't agree with their methods. Well, how is it that a person is supposed to be heard if they're not yelling in your ear? And I can guarantee you being yelled at in your ear is not pleasant, it is not convenient, but it does get the message across. And that is the point, getting your message across, because people will try to silence you like you conservatives are doing. Which brings us to the ultimate part. Why are people protesting Trump? Because Trump
is trying to silence the people and make people the forgotten who do not make themselves forgotten. And I say this because if you do not abide and kiss Trump's ass, he considers you the enemy. Therefore, he does not care about doing the job that he would do. He does not care about earning respect. He does not care about earning his title. He wants to be handed it on a silver platter without doing the work. He complained about Obama doing golfing, and now he's doing 10 times as much. He promised not to do any golfing at all because he'd be too busy making America great again, and yet all he's done is golf. You guys think that Obamacare was a waste of money, but yet you forget America cycles 11 to 13 trillion dollars a day, and they do it because it is the cycle of money going into things to spend for roads, to spend for people's paychecks, to spend for infrastructure, to pay for services, medical, and pay people's paychecks, lawyers, law enforcement, regulators, the works, every government job, every government service, everything that the transportation included. But you think that just because somebody complains about how the president spent too much money on one thing for the people, that it's suddenly a bad thing, which means you don't like that the people, you don't like taxpayer dollars being spent on you. That's fine. Just forfeit your citizenship so that way we don't have to worry about you having to be receiving the benefits of having a government that serves you. And it does seem that that is the way you conservatives want. You want a smaller government. If you want a smaller government, go to Puerto Rico. If you want a smaller government, go to Venezuela. If you want a smaller government, go to a smaller land. This is a huge territory. Huge territory means we need a big government. And a big government needs to have a lot of regulators in order to enforce its rules, because the bigger something is, the harder it is to manage. And the more people it is that can fuck it up. So, and then you guys are okay with Trump trying to rush this bill through without getting regulated, and then you complain about how Obama did it. And you just complain about how Obama did this, that, and whatnot, while forgetting the fact that Obama spent 2 years trying to get this Obamacare thing done. Multiple meetings, listening to people talk, and even taking people into consideration. Most importantly, the 188 Republican amendments that people hate about Obamacare. Yes, that's right. The reason you hate Obamacare was because of the Republicans. Congratulations. But then again, the only thing you guys care about is saying that you have to do this, not because Trump is successful and that he's a good leader, but because we say so. Fuck the country, worship Trump. Fuck the United States Constitution. Fuck your Bill of Rights. Fuck your freedoms. Get Trump in office. Fuck your health. Fuck your everything. You don't care. You just want Trump to win because that means that he won something in his life. That is what your understanding of things is. You say that Hillary was a shit show. She got 3 million more votes than Trump did. I would call that a success. When it comes with Trump, he could barely hold any Republican any campaign offices, and yet Hillary was able to create a magnitude of offices that employed and created multiple jobs. She held and maintained several super PACs that were much like secretaries in the government, or cabinets in the government. So I'd say she was a pretty damn fine leader. I ask of you guys to give me reasons as to why she was shitty, and all I hear is the fake news that I've been reading about, like the illnesses that she didn't have, the emails that weren't deleted, or the sex child trade thing that didn't exist, and that you people think existed just because somebody had an office parked near a pizzeria. I live near Fred Meyer. I live near a pizza joint and a coffee joint. Try making some conspiracy out of that. I'm running out of time. Anyways. Except that you failed. Except that you bought this bag of shit. Except your fuck up. And vote for Democrat. Vote Hillary. If you care anything about Bernie supports Hillary. Stop buying Trump's bullshit about Hillary turning against Bernie because Bernie wasn't complaining. Trump was just bullshitting you, and you bought it. Then I hear you guys make excuses for it, 'cause that's all you guys do. This is the way the conservatives think.